Welcome to the Eastern Idaho Planning Briefing for Monday, June 14th. We'll take a look at the weather impact summary starting off today. We are expecting hot and dry conditions to continue through the week, though not as hot. We do have a potential red flag event occurring on Tuesday with a breakdown of the upper ridge. There's a slight chance of thunderstorms across the Salmon Breaks and breezy conditions throughout the Snake Plain and northward, both Tuesday and Wednesday. We've been talking about a monsoonal push being possible for Friday and Saturday. That does look less likely as of this morning, but it's still not out of the question, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that moving forward through the week. Taking a look at the satellite loop across the area, you can see the broad ridge of high pressure sitting across the Intermountain West with generally clear conditions most areas. You'll also take a look at the big low pressure system sitting off the coast in the Pacific. We are looking at a piece of energy rotating around that and impacting the area for Tuesday for that potential red flag event. But first, let's talk about these hot conditions through the week. We've posted a graphic here with a table of selected cities across eastern Idaho with the forecast lows and afternoon high temperatures. Feel free to pause the video at any time so you can look up your nearest location and take a look at what those temperature trends are for the week. Moving forward into the fire weather conditions for the week, we do have several areas that fuels have gotten quite dry, where they're either approaching critical or are critical. That's not to say that fuels aren't dry in other locations as well, but the red and yellow areas are where we are most concerned about the dry conditions. The graphic on the right is the energy release component. It's kind of a measure of how hot a fire could burn if it was to get going, and you can see that the trends have been for these energy release components to continue to rise, indicating that the fuels are continuing to dry out to levels to support very hot fires. And those coincide with the areas that are red and yellow on the left graphic, but also you can see that the fuels are continuing to dry at a rapid pace in other areas across eastern Idaho. These would be the areas of concern as we head into Tuesday for the fire concerns. Taking a look at the graphic for the temperature spread across the region for today, we are looking at several of those areas across the Snake River Plain to reach back into the middle to upper 90s. This should be a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday with record highs across the area. So we may see a few areas that get close again, and it will be quite warm. But as temperatures are cool this morning, the heat risk is less of an impact for today. Therefore, we do not have a heat advisory out for anywhere in eastern Idaho. Relative humidities for today, we're seeing single digits across portions of the Snake River Plain, and that's again a concern for fire conditions. And some gusty winds this afternoon across the Snake River Plain, portions of the Southern Highlands, and the Central Mountains. As that aforementioned shortwave from the Pacific Low works into the region for Tuesday, we do see those temperatures cool off a little bit more. Again, we're looking at upper 80s to lower 90s across many of the lower elevation areas. But you can see quite the cool off pushing into the Central Mountains with some of those locations dropping well into the 70s. We could see a few showers and thunderstorms again across the Salmon Breaks, across the Salmon River area, northwest of Salmon as that shortwave moves through the Panhandle region, but most of the rest of the area will remain dry. Speaking of dryness, we'll take a look at those humidities. Again, with those slightly cooler temperatures, we see the humidities increase slightly, but they are still at or below critical thresholds for fire concerns in many areas. And the winds, with that system moving through, we'll see an increase in winds. And with the combination of the dry humidities and the winds, again, we may be looking at a potential red flag event with the breakdown of the upper ridge and that frontal system moving through for Tuesday. Looking back at the weather impact summary again, hot and dry continues. We still are concerned with that potential red flag event for a slight chance of thunderstorms across the Salmon Breaks, breezy conditions, and continued very, very dry despite the slightly cooler temperatures for Tuesday. And again, looking at a potential for a monsoonal push for Friday and Saturday. A little less likely as of what we've been looking at for this morning, but still not out of the question. And again, we will keep an eye on that as we move through the week. That will conclude the briefing for today. If you have questions, please feel free to contact us at the information that's there on the screen. Otherwise, we will see everybody on the next briefing on Tuesday. Thank you for joining us.